Alright, so today we're going to talk about variables. Now, you might wonder, what is a variable? Well, the root word for variable is vary. And if something can vary, it can change. So a variable is something that could change. And basically the way we write variables, we use letters. And the letter could be really anything. It could be an X, it could be a Y, it could be a T. It doesn't really matter. That can change too. That can vary. So most of the time you're probably going to see the letter X used. So we're just going to use X. So then what we can do is we can combine things with that letter. So let's say I write X plus 3. What that means is this number, this unknown number X, if you add 3 to it, what do you get? So let's say if I wrote this out as a number sentence, I put an equal sign, and then I wrote 7. I want you to take a second and think. Alright? I want you to tell me what X would equal. If X plus 3 equals 7. Well, of course, the answer would be 4. So in this case, X equals 4. Alright? So, next, let's take another situation. Let's say we have an X, and we can write minus 6 equals 9. Again, we can solve for X. If this is the case, and X minus 6 equals 9, then what does X equal? Think about it. Well, it might jump right into your brain. Some of you might have figured that out. And some of you might not be sure. Well, to figure it out, there's something we can do. And this works no matter whether we're doing addition or subtraction or multiplication or division with a variable. And what I can do is I want you to think about this algebraic equation. I want you to think about it like, kind of like, I don't know, a scale. And when you have a scale, one side of the scale must balance with the other side. So whatever I do to one side of the scale, I have to do the other side of the scale if they're going to stay in balance. So this equal sign right here is like the middle of that scale. So whatever I do on the left side, I have to do on the right. So I have subtracting 6. So what I'm going to do on this side is I'm going to add 6 to this side. And that leaves me with just X. Because if I add 6 to a loss of 6, that means that's like giving up nothing or trading nothing. And then I have to do the same thing to the other side. So I add 6. So then the X is left over on this side. Okay, just that. And then over here on the right side, we have 9 plus 6, which is 15. So that means the answer is X is equal to 15. And if you think about it, it makes total sense because, and I'm sure a lot of you guys figured this out before I did any of that complicated work, but 15 minus 6 is going to get you an answer of 9. So, of course, that works out. All right? So, let's look at some different situations with variables. Okay, so we can do addition, we can do subtraction, we can do multiplication, division, whatever. We can do any of that with a variable. So, let's take a different letter. Let's take n. All right. And let's write, I want to take n, which is some unknown number, and I want to times it by 3. Well, you can do this. You can do n times 3. That's one way to write it. Another way to do it is like this. N, and you put a dot, and 3. Very common. Once you get a little bit more advanced into algebra, when you guys are in 7th and 8th grade for sure, you're going to be writing algebraic expressions or equations in a particular way, and they expect you to write multiplication like this. You take that variable, and whatever you times it by, you put that number in front. So 3n. 3n means there's 3 n's, which is the same as saying n times 3. So if you think about it, let's say n is equal to, if n equals 4, I could do 4 times 3, 12. This means 4 times 3 as well. And again, that's 12. And if I have 3 4s, don't I also have 12? Exactly. So This is how we express multiplication when we're working with variables. 3n is the best way to do it, the most common way you're going to see when you move forward. All right, well, how about division? How do we handle division? Let's check that out. With division, again, you'll see a number, let's say m divided by 4 equals 2. You'll see division written like that. Of course, m in this case would be 8 because 8 divided by 4 is 2. You'll see that sometimes. But the truth is, again, as you're getting older and getting more advanced with this, you're going to see it written another way. M over 4 equals 2. You're going to see it written like this more often. You got to remember this fraction line right here, this fraction line means divide. That's why 1 over 2 is equal to 0.5, because if you do 1 divided by 2, you get 0.5. That line means divide. So this means you would say m divided by 4 equals 2. And this as well means m divided by 4 equals 2. So now that you've got a little background on how this stuff works, you're going to be able to now solve algebraic equations and solve for the variable x or m or n. That's your goal, and that's what we're expecting you to be able to do. So let's look at a couple examples. I want you to just pause the video and try to solve it on your own and see if you get the answer right. All right, I think you can handle that. Do your best, and then we'll practice it more in school tomorrow. Okay, so let's try a problem. Let's try this. Problem number 1. 5 plus z equals 22. What is the answer? Z equals what? Take a second, pause, try to figure it out. All right, so let's see what you got. Well, 5 plus z equals 22. So if I get rid of that 5 over here, and I get rid of 5 on the other side of that equation, I end up with z over here, and z equals 22 minus 5. That would be 17. So it's 5 plus 17, 22? Yes. So if you got 17, you got the correct answer. Good job. All right, let's try another one. How about 31 minus n equals 19. What does n equal then? Take a second to figure it out. Okay, so clearly 3n equals 19. 31 minus n, excuse me. 31 minus n equals 19. So I can take 19 from this side. I can take 19 from this side. Okay? If I do that, I'm left with 0 over here. And I'm left with 12 over here. So 12 minus n is equal to 0. So then what does n have to equal? 12 minus, well, 0. Excuse me. 12 minus 12 is equal to 0. So clearly n is equal to 12, not 0. Sorry about that, my mistake. Very good. How about this? How about 16 over n equals 2. 16 over 2. What does that line mean again? Think about that. See what you can do. Think about it. And tell me what n equals if 16 over 2 is equal to 2. Okay. So, lots of ways you can go about this. You can plug in numbers. No problem. Let's say I put in 2 for n. If I did that, if I replace that with 2, this would be 16 divided by 2. Well, 16 divided by 2, does that equal 2? No, 16 divided by 2, that equals 8. So clearly, clearly, that was not my correct choice. 2 didn't work. So I got to try something else. Clearly, something bigger. How about, gee, let me think. 4? Well, 16 divided by 4, that would equal 4. That's no good. Well, I'm getting closer. The answer is getting closer to 2. Let me try something small. How about an 8? 16 divided by 8, does that equal 2? Yes, it does. So my answer is n equals 8. All right, so this is little basics of algebraic equations, what they work, what they look like, and variables and how we use them. Tomorrow we're going to take these skills that we talked about in the video, and we're going to practice them in class. So come prepared with any questions, anything you're confused about, and we will talk about exactly how to deal with variables in algebraic equations, and we'll hit the ground running tomorrow, no problem. And we'll get started. You guys will be masters in no time. Thanks for listening.